The question I get asked more than any other is this: is it a good time to make a move? Well, the reality is most agents won't give you the honest answer. What's going on, everybody? It's Rob Foglia, your real estate broker and real estate educator. And the reality is most real estate agents are just going to say, yeah, it's a great time to move. It's a great time to sell. It's a great time to buy. I still remember seeing agents and mortgage lenders, they would constantly put online, marry the house and date the rate as interest rates were spiking and tripling in a span of just 6 or 9 months. Let's look at the numbers objectively today and let's decide, when is it a good time to make a move? Is there a bad time to make a move? I've identified a span of about a month or two throughout a typical year that it might not be a great time to move. But other than that, there's positives and negatives to just about any market that's out there. So let's take a look. As a reminder, head over to robfolia.kw.com. You can check out any and all homes that are for sale, not just homes that I have listed, not just homes that my brokerage has listed, but all homes that are out there for sale you'll find here on my website. I figured let's pull up kind of a micro market in Middle Tennessee here. Let's take a look at the market for Bellevue. Bellevue, great area, definitely somewhat of a upper middle class area. But at the same time, there's more expensive homes in Davidson County. There's less expensive homes in Davidson County. So it's a good kind of micro market for us to be zeroing in on. So again, one way we'll identify this is by taking a look at the last 30 days compared to the previous 30 days. So that way we can see how the market is trending in the short term. Now, some of these numbers are lagging numbers, meaning, like, for instance, closings. The amount of homes that closed in the last 30 days it is not going to tell what the market is going to do here in the future. That's what the market was doing a few months ago. But price reductions, the amount of inventory that's out there compared to buyers, that will make a difference. One stat for Bellevue that I'm seeing really jump off the page is months of supply. One stat that I'm seeing jump off the page for Bellevue here is months of supply. You see, for the last 30 days, months of supply is right around 4 months, and that's up from the previous 30 days about 25%, as it was previously around 3.2 months. That's a pretty big jump for a 30-day span. Still solidly in that seller's market territory, but at the same time, it is creeping very aggressively toward a balanced market. That's probably the most telling stat that says what's going to happen here over the next little bit, over the next couple of months. What does that mean for us? Well, let's look at some historical trends. So as you can see here on the screen, months of supply always tends to climb up toward the end of the year. And again, months of supply is just the amount of inventory that's out there compared to home buyers, meaning how balanced is the real estate market? Are there more buyers or are there more homes for sale? Months of supply helps tell us this. And when we see the number climbing, it means that there are more homes for sale compared to buyers. Just looking here at this recent 3-year trend, you can see it always climbs up toward the end of the year. So what does that mean for you? Well, what I would say this means is that if you're a homeowner that is needing to sell in order to buy, you're still going to be in fine shape, if you were to do it now or to do it in the next 3 months or 4 months. It's typically taking about a month to go under contract, sometimes within a couple of weeks. I mean, knock on wood, I've had good luck this year where most of my homes have gone under contract within the first week or two. And yet at the same time, it might take 30 days to go under contract. And you really just want to make sure that you're not hitting the market at the end of the year. Months of supply always peaks toward that end of the year in November, in December. And that's, again, what just means that there's more homes for sale than there are buyers, or at least that number's climbing faster than the amount of buyers that are out there. That's what impacts you as a homeowner. Now, the flip side of that, if you're like most homeowners and you need to buy when you're selling, well, I think there's kind of a sweet spot for you. And that sweet spot is what we're approaching right now. Because if you were that homeowner who's also needing to buy and you were putting your home up for sale in March, April, May, well, that's when the most amount of buyers are out there, right? Which is great for you when you're selling, but you're also a contingent home buyer at that point, or at least you might be a contingent home buyer, meaning you need to sell in order to purchase your next home. And well, when that happens, you're a weaker buyer. Just to call a spade, you're going to be a weaker buyer when you have that home sale contingency. So if you're in competition with buyers that don't have that home sale contingency, well, you might be missing out on homes at that point, or you might be having to settle for a home if you're hitting the market, say in March or April or May, hoping to time it right. Whereas if you hit the market right now, as the markets, the amount of inventory compared to buyers might be climbing a little bit more, the reality is there's going to be less competition for you shopping for a home. And that means it's gonna be more advantageous for you to purchase right now as compared to say a couple of months ago, as compared to say 60 days ago. That's a big thing to wrap our heads around, and it's a tough thing sometimes to wrap our heads around, right? Because we hear, that the market's strongest in the springtime, like a lot of people say, like that common folklore, right? And yes, in a way it is. There are more buyers out there. So if you're purely a seller, that's the time, right? That 3 month span from mid-March to mid-June, that is the time to hit the market. Because if you're purely selling a home, then you have no second domino to fall of your purchase. You're going to be in a great spot then, right? Because there's more demand for your property. Whereas right now, what we're approaching, you're still in that sweet spot because there's demand, there's still people buying, but you're not going to have as much competition for your purchase if you're buying and selling, of course. So that question I asked at the beginning, is there a bad time to be selling? Well, I think there's about a 1 to 2 month span that it might not be the best time to hit the market. Now, not to say we can't sell your home around at that time, and I'll get to what that time is here in a second. But I've sold homes every month of the year. Some of my best months of closings have been this month. But the reality is, when you look here at the statistics, the last month of the year or so, right in that November, December into January timeframe, I guess you could almost call it like, from I don't know, maybe the first week in November through the first week of the new year, somewhere in that rough 60-day timeline tends to be when most buyers kind of take themselves out of the market. Now, there are people who are still buying around then, right? Job transfers might happen. Maybe somebody's looking to move in between school semesters, right? Like that happens. That absolutely happens. And people still move in December. But the reality is, a lot of home buyers, they just kind of bunker down. They say, hey, it's the holidays. Let me get back to this in January or February. So that's why if I'm having to give you advice and say, is it a good time to make a move? Well, 10 months out of the year or so, I'd say let's do it. If you have some sort of life event that's happening and we need to make a move, again, I can help you 12 months out of the year, absolutely. But the reality is, the best time of year, if you're a pure seller, is that mid-March to mid-June. But most people aren't pure sellers, right? Most people are buying. So other than that, we're hitting kind of a golden time for you right here. Going into this late summer, into the fall, that's when there are fewer buyers out there, which you might think might hurt you as a seller. As long as you're priced right, we're still going to get you sold. But the cool thing is you're going to have less competition for that home that you're buying, and it's going to put you in a better spot. If you've got specific questions about your situation, about your market, about your neighborhood, reach out to me. I'm happy to help. I'll put my contact information below so you can reach out to me. I'm more than happy to answer any questions you have. Maybe run these numbers for your neighborhood or your zip code. Reach out for anything that you need here in Middle Tennessee. Until next time, see y'all later.